Post. I will.
Hey, Roman. How are you, buddy? Okay, here we go.
All right, so we are live. We can go ahead and get started now. As I mentioned, Adi will be jumping in here shortly. But I had an idea, Chuck, since we are, at least this is how I feel about it. I'm anticipating that we're going to start, there's all this talk about what's going to happen in the market. I'm a true believer that we shouldn't try to predict. The one thing that I will say is that at some point, whether it's soon or whether it's going to be 12 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, but at some point there has to be more inventory, right? Now, I'm going to bet on the fact that it's probably going to be sooner rather than later. Within a year, we'll start seeing more inventory, more opportunities. I think that we should potentially start changing the direction that this show is going, and not only just bring in top producers to talk to us, but how do we analyze what is a good deal? What are investors doing? What are these big shot developers? When you send them a deal, for example, an off-market opportunity, they probably have a step-by-step process on how to analyze within 24 hours if I have a good deal worth investing more time into, or do I just pass on this one and wait for another opportunity? And when there's going to hopefully be a position where we're going to get so many more opportunities as we start seeing the market all of a sudden come in with additional types of deals, whether it's commercial or residential, people are going to have to choose wisely what they spend their time on. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. There are certain things that are undeniable. We know that there's, I don't know, 640,000 scheduled foreclosures. That was the last number I heard a couple of weeks ago. Once those kick in, if it's next month and 3 months and 6 months, when those are going to kick in at some point. And once those kick in, we're going to start seeing short sales. We're going to start seeing REOs. Obviously, these are things that are going to happen whether we like it or not. So yeah, there's going to be tons of opportunity. And we have
Not just that, but I mean, if that's the case, imagine how many people, there's still a moratorium, at least in California, on foreclosures. Imagine how many more people are technically in foreclosure, but not officially in foreclosure, right? And so all those numbers are going to get added to the mix. But I see that our wonderful guest speaker has joined us today.
Hi,
Hi, Adi.
how are you?
Doing good, doing good. You could hear us okay?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, beautiful. So we were just kind of chit-chatting. Chuck and I were contemplating maybe adding a twist to our weekly Rubbing Elbows show. We kind of are all assuming that we're going to start seeing more and more inventory come to the market over the next 6, 10, 12, 18 months, whatever the case may be. And with that said, how do we help everybody in our community become sharper at analyzing what is a good opportunity and what isn't? That wasn't the case up until now. If you got a deal, you were lucky and you had to act on it. But eventually there will be more inventory, and you have to be able to choose your time wisely on what you spend your time on. Maybe you can give us, throughout the show some tips, and we can talk about that. But first and foremost, welcome to Rubbing Elbows. We've been trying to get you for so long. Finally, the lovely Adi has accepted. So thank you for joining us.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And I guess the best way to kick it off, like we do with every one of our guest speakers, is everybody knows what you are today. You're a powerhouse. You're a top producer. You're kicking butt all over town. But how did you start? How did you get into it? Was it easy for you from day one, or did it take time to get to the point that you are today?
I started like most agents, not knowing anybody, not knowing anything about the business. I just kind of got thrown into it, I guess you can say. And it was definitely very difficult. I mean, the first year for sure was challenging. I had to try to sell real estate and learn at the same time. So I was running around asking a lot of questions, people in my office. I remember when I opened my first escrow, I didn't even know how to do that, believe it or not. So, I mean, I think I started where most agents start, kind of, get thrown in the water and try to learn how to swim. So it was definitely not easy. But I think the first year I actually did pretty well. I was told compared to most people starting out, I think I made like 50 or 60,000 in my first year, which is not bad. And then I have to say every year after that, it kind of, I grew and grew. Somebody very smart once told me when I started, don't be a secret agent. Go out there, tell people what you do, find out, who's looking to buy, who's looking to sell. So that's pretty much what I did the first couple of years in real estate. I just kind of told everybody what I was doing and, what are you looking for? And obviously being Israeli, a lot of Israelis are in the business. They flip, they buy, they sell. So that's how I got into doing the development and new construction kind of niche that I got into.
Very nice. So I know that you've been focused primarily on dealing with developers, right? You find opportunities for developers, but then you also are the listing agent. Was that always your niche, or did you kind of just fall into that? How did that happen?
I guess you could say I fell into that. My original plan starting out in the business was just because my husband started flipping houses. So I pretty much just got my license to kind of do our own stuff. But then I realized that I really liked it. And that niche is something that I really, really enjoy, just finding an opportunity and then seeing it from, from a dump to an amazing, beautiful house was something that really got me to want to do more. So I would say 80% of what I do is that, the new development, new construction. The other 20% is, I sell regular homes too, I guess you can call them. But I have to admit,
Regular mansions.
Yeah, but I have to say that I really, really love what I mostly do is that new construction, and finding the land, selling it to somebody, and then seeing this incredible thing come to life. So.
And let's also remember that you're a mom of three, and you almost instinctually know how to organize and how to handle things, and how to put people in their place, really. And I think a lot of the developers love working with you because you've got that straight up, no nonsense. I'm going to tell you how it is. This is this value. This is that value. You need to change this. You need to adjust that. This is what's going to sell. And it's, you've always got that winning formula.
I think it's a formula, but I also think it's something that, you build yourself, and people need to trust you. So if I don't believe in a deal, and that's, for example, something I wouldn't buy myself, I wouldn't sell it to anybody else. So I think when a lot of people call me when they're looking to buy things, even not with me, with other people, I get calls every day, maybe 3 to 5 people call me every day. What do you think about this property? What do you think about that property? And it's because whenever I sell somebody something, it's something that I really, truly believe that they can do well on. I wouldn't want to sell them something that, a year and a half later I have to list, and then they don't make any money or they lose money, and then it's my reputation and, oh, but you told me this. So whatever I tell them, usually I underestimate what I think they could sell it for. So at the end of the day, when they sell it for more, they're happier. That's very, very important to me. So I find myself telling people every single day, I don't think you should buy that property. I say that a lot. And other people call me and ask me about, certain deals that other agents are bringing them. And sometimes, in my opinion, they're not the best deals. They buy them anyway. And unfortunately, not that I like to be right, but a lot of times That's what happens. So I would tell a lot of developers that don't just rush to buy anything because you're just dying to buy something, which a lot of people these days, they just want to buy something. And if you just hold off for the right deal, something better will come along. So if it doesn't feel right, just wait. That would be my advice.
That's I heard a saying from a mentor of mine: when in doubt, pass. If you're not 100% sure about it, it's better to pass. Even if you're wrong on passing, I'd rather be wrong on passing on a deal than, you know, be stuck in a bad deal. So I do have a question for you though, because it is, you know, something that we're all curious about. Since COVID became an official scare and lockdown, it's been about 6 months. So my question to you is, when that first happened back in March-ish, and you know, all of a sudden everything was shut down, we knew that we weren't going to have open houses. What did you think was going to happen to your business? And then how has that actually played out in reality?
That's funny you asked that. So I panicked like everybody else, and I literally thought everything's going to hell, including real estate. There goes my career. I'm never going to sell another house. This is like the end of the world. That's how I think a lot of people felt. And it was there was a period of, I think, 2 months that was very, very like uncertain. So we didn't know what was going to happen. I remember having, when this happened, I had 10 properties in escrow, and luckily, thank God, only one of them fell out. Where in the beginning things weren't falling out, and I think 2 or 3 weeks into it, where people really started to panic, I was seeing a lot of deals cancel. I mean, other, you know, people that I know that that had deals going on, a lot of them canceled. A lot of those people that canceled are kicking themselves today, because what happened, I think, starting in May was shocking to me, as I think was shocking to most people. I did not think I would be sitting here right now telling you that I've had the busiest year of my real estate career, which has been a 12-year career. My numbers this year are about 40% higher than my numbers last year, which last year was my best year. And I never thought I would be sitting here saying that. So it's been insane, to say the least. We've seen prices have definitely gone up. Prices of higher end real estate have for sure gone up. I'm seeing my $7, $8, $9 million listings, you know, with multiple offers, which wasn't even the case before COVID. And the market was, you know, it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as now. So for sure, super, super surprising, and nothing that I ever imagined would happen.
I've got a question. I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on the market now. Is at a place where it's almost like it's also a buyer's market and a seller's market. It feels like buyers want to take advantage of the low interest rates. They want to take advantage of upgrading their home. God forbid there's another quarantine, or who knows, because they've now appreciated their living space more than ever. And then you've got sellers that are still uncertain on where the market's really going, and foreclosures and this, that are wanting to cash out. So you've got a lot of sellers and a lot of buyers. What would you say, or what do you say to someone who is reluctant to, I'm not even going to go on the buyers, I'm going to go on the sellers, to sell, reluctant to sell?
What would I say to sellers that are reluctant to sell?
Yeah, someone who is kind of on the fence, someone who's like, I don't know if the market's going to tank. I don't know if this is going to continue this way. Obviously, you as an agent, you want to grab, you know, the listing and potentially the build and potentially the realist again, but you want to, you know, guide your, you know, client the right direction.
You know, the ones that are trying to predict too much what's going to happen, and they're sitting on the sidelines because of it.
I think it depends on the property. So I had a client yesterday ask me to sell his, you know, he has a house that he bought in Northridge. It's an income property. He built an ADU, and, you know, I told him what I think he could sell it for. And then I asked him how much he paid. And when he told me how much he paid for the property, I think it was like 10 years ago, and how much he's renting it for, I said, you're crazy. Why would you sell it? So it really depends on the property. The answer is none of us really know what's going to happen. I've been hearing the market's going to tank for the last 2 years. So it doesn't feel like it right now, but again, there are so many factors right now. It almost feels like it's not real since May, what's going on with COVID. I mean, again, in the higher end, things are selling for record prices. We've broken records. Every time we sell a house, it breaks the last record. So it's really hard to say. I mean, we have an election coming up in less than 3 weeks. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are very nervous. I see that developers are buying everything. I would say be careful a little bit. Don't, instead of, they just want to scoop up everything because they think it's always going to be this way. And I hope it will, but if they're buying now, they're not going to be done with the house. It's not going to be on the market again for at least another year and a half. So I would say don't rush and do too much. Take it easy. I'm more conservative, but many people I know are not, and they're just, especially developers, they're buying everything for record prices on land, and it's a little crazy.
Where do you see, if you see, let's say we hypothetically say, okay, the market is going to drop like an insane 15%, 20%. This is insane, right? So a property that's supposed to sell for 10 million bucks is going to sell for 8 million bucks. Okay. Does it really make a difference if the builder is buying it for 2 million, right? Or 2.5 million bucks, where he's going to make a killing, or if he's getting it an amazing price at like $1.6 million, right? He's getting an amazing price, almost $1 million under list price or whatever. The end result is still uncertain, right? People still don't know if how much it's gonna drop, what is it gonna do? Are they thinking, okay, I'm gonna turn this thing into just a high-end income property, or how do they digest it and how do they process it?
So that's a good question, but I think it depends on the inventory and the area where they're buying and the market. So there are certain markets in LA right now that are not doing very well. So I look at how many people that I know are buying in a certain area and what's going to be the inventory in a year and a half. Because if you have 3-4 buyers out there looking for a $10 million house in, for example, let's just say Encino area, but I probably know of 30-40 properties that are going to be on the market in a year and a half for that, maybe that price range. What's going to happen at that time? And we do have an area right now in LA that's actually going through that, and I have some listings in that area, so I know that, if you have, let's say, 5 or 6 buyers, but you have 50 houses that all look the same, and I had an agent tell me yesterday, my buyer has no urgency. They're just going to wait. There's 45 houses on the market, and we know of 7 more that are coming out in the next couple of months. So what is your developer willing to sell this house for? They want to get a deal.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, because I love this next question, that I try to always get these tips for the viewers watching to kind of benefit from. So knowing all that you know now, you said that you've been doing this for 12 years. If you were to go back to day one, but with the knowledge that you have today, how would you build your brand new real estate business?
My brand new real estate?
Yes, you started today, day one, but you have all the knowledge you have today. If you were to start today as a brand new realtor, how would you start your business?
Oh, gotcha. I don't think I would change anything. I think I came into it very motivated. I worked till 1 o'clock at night. I would take a break when my kids were home and do dinner, homework, whatever, and then put them to bed and work for hours longer. I would be a walking, talking MLS. I would know everything that's on the market, that's off the market. It took me a few months to figure out that that's what I had to do, but I think that's with any agent starting off. So I don't really think I would have changed I would change anything.
Okay.
Maybe have a little more fun and maybe take some time to myself, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's always easy. So are you doing anything special to kind of highlight your brand more from either videos or social media? Are there any tips that you can give people on little things that they can do to kind of get their name out there a little bit more aggressively?
I think social media has been huge. So I have to say that's probably the number one way of getting out there. But obviously you have to have a following and people have to know you. So I would just say, like I did when I got started, I would, now we don't have brokers open houses, but when we do, it's very important to go out there and meet people because you make deals with people that you trust and that you know. And this happens every single day. When I get offers from people that I know that I've worked with before, that I know will close a deal, it's much easier that way. So I think that personal a sphere of people that you know is probably the best way. So get to know as many people in the business as possible, talk to as many people as you can, ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. When I started, I hated asking questions because I like to know what I'm talking about. And if I don't, I get angry because I came from another business where I dominated the business and I did really well. And then I'm thrown into this new thing that I don't know much about. So it's frustrating. But I would just say, talk to as many people as possible, meet as many people as you can that are in the business, ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And I would say that's the main thing.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm going to open it up here in a moment for questions. So start thinking of your questions. You can either type them in the chat or you can just kind of raise your hand and we'll unmute you and let you ask your question. Chuck, you have any other questions before I open it up?
I just wanted to echo what she said. I think it's really smart to get to know as many people and to really get involved in, podcasts like this, right? Where you can, rub elbows with all types of people and like-minded individuals in your industry. And for example, like Roman Schercher, who's also on here, he also has something he does weekly that's insightful that you can just learn. You can constantly learn and just progress in your business. So
Chuck, I'm surprised you haven't asked for, your famous ask from everybody we bring on the show. So I'm gonna
remind me what to ask.
I'm gonna remind you the collaboration.
The collaboration.
Co-listings.
Oh, well, I think with Adi it's a little bit different. I think, what Adi brings to the table for her niche, for that, for that market of high-end developments, people know what they're getting. Is that what you're talking about with?
Well, I know how you like to get, people in the community to kind of benefit from some of the top producers that we bring in. So if they ever come across a listing that's maybe a little bit above what they're used to, bringing in a powerhouse like Adi to co-list it with them can obviously give them an advantage. And you usually like to bring it up. So I was giving you that opportunity, but I just asked. So Adi, if anybody on here gets a listing that is like an incredible $10 million home, it's a little bit out of their, their comfort zone. Would you be open to them coming to you to co-list that and having you as a, reputable brand as part of the deal with them?
Sure. I'm always open to meeting new people and working with new people. So if it makes sense, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I would personally.
If it's somebody that I think I could work well together with, and it's beneficial for both of us, I think it's something I would always consider.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Very good. So I know we got a bunch of people on here. There's many watching. Tal, I think you're monitoring social media. So if any questions come up there, please let me know. Anybody on the Zoom have any questions? Raise your hand or wave me down somehow and I'll unmute you. None yet. Okay. All right. Let me unmute. Roman, go ahead and unmute yourself. All right, Roman, go ahead. Introduce yourself. Ask your question. We can't hear you. Nope, still can't hear you. All right, we'll have Roman try to fix that in the meantime. Anybody else have any questions? I have plenty of questions, but I'm trying to open it up to everyone here. Okay, I think we have one here. Let's see. As far as seeking new prospects. Okay, so Brian is asking, as far as seeking new prospects as a newer agent, is there anything you'd recommend that worked well for you, or anything you tried that you felt was not the best use of your time management? So any tips on things that worked really well or things that you should stay away from?
Personally, for me, what worked for me in the beginning is just, and again, people that I know and people that I was meeting around me. Now I know that's not always the case for new agents. So, you know, for me in the beginning, I tried the whole open house, sitting open houses and picking up buyers, but I tend to do better with people that I sort of know or people that know somebody that I know. So for me, that worked best, but I know so many agents that benefit from, you know, they go on Zillow, they get the Zillow leads. I think that's easier, or referrals, so from friends and family. So I think that's easier if you have more time, because, you know, working a lead takes a lot of effort. For me, that was honestly just much harder, just because my kids were really young, and it was just easier to work with people that, you know, were referred to me. So it was somebody that was really looking at the time. I didn't have to kind of massage them and show them my house for 3 years before they bought something. So that's the honest answer. But again, it's harder now because a lot of newer agents get a lot of leads from sitting open houses, which I've seen a lot of agents in my office that have done very well by sitting. Even, you know, my open houses, I used to have 8 to 12 open houses every weekend. I used to have people sitting them for me, and I know they would get lots of leads from that. So I think when that comes back, that's something that definitely is a good way to get new business.
All right.
But again, I would really, right now, because of what's going on, because of COVID, I would really concentrate on calling people that you know, calling friends, calling family, saying, hey, do you know anybody that wants to sell? Do you know anybody who wants to buy a house? If you call enough people, something will come out of it.
All right, we got 2 more questions so far on chat. Igal is asking, what did you do before real estate?
Before real estate, I had an online business selling cell phones. And I became the second largest cell phone seller on eBay, believe it or not.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so then Roman.
Completely different business.
But sales is sales, so that's where you got your sales.
Different type of sales, but yeah, a lot of customer service. You know, I got tired of it. It was working 18-hour days, not fun.
It's different types of deposits on cell phones versus these $10 million.
I think for me, real estate, you know, I love what I do just because of all the people that I meet. I want to do something that I really enjoy, and I really, really, really enjoy all the people that I work with. Sometimes one person can be more challenging than the other. Sometimes you have a seller that's calls you, you know, 5 times a day. Then you have a seller that calls you once every couple of weeks. But you meet so many different types of people. But at the end of the day, I really, really enjoy the people that I work with.
All right, so we have a bunch of questions. I'm trying to keep up here. So Roman, let's try you one more time. Go ahead and unmute. Nope, still on mute. Okay, so Roman is asking, are you incorporating any discounts to current value for your investors for when they sell the property 1 to 1.5 years out? So are you building in any kind of discount I'm assuming the question is if you're selling them a property that you found and then they use you again in a year once it's developed. Is that right,
Oh,
Roman?
you mean in terms of commission?
No, no, not in terms value. In terms of value.
Oh, value. So whenever I tell a developer how much I think they could sell a property for when it's done, there are several factors that will determine that value. And this is very important. Number one, what kind of builder are they? What kind of finishes can they, will they be doing in the house? Floor plans are very important. I always tell them, please show me the floor plan before you start building this house, because one mistake can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I've seen it happen many times. So design, floor plan, and I like to be conservative. So even if I think a property is worth $3 million, or it will be worth $3 million, I like to kind of maybe tell them 10% less just in case something happens with the market, because again, I'm very, very careful with the numbers I give them. So I like to be more conservative. So I would say the answer is yes.
Okay, we have a question from Daniel Eliyahu on YouTube. Do you feel your name and connections help you get buyer offer accepted compared to newer agents?
Again, I think that ties into your relationship with people. I really, really take my reputation seriously. My name comes before everything. And if I have to lose a deal, I'll lose a deal because my name comes before everything. So,
but I think they're asking more so, do you think because of your name and your reputation, if a buyer uses you, do you have a better chance of getting their offer accepted because you're behind the deal?
I think so. I would like to think so.
I can say for sure it does. Absolutely. I see it from the lending side.
Anybody that builds themselves and gets to a certain level, or again, it's not just the production. I have to emphasize, you can sell $500 million a year in real estate and have a really bad reputation, and I see it all the time. So it's not about how much you produce and how much you sell. It's about how much do people trust you and how much they think, and if they think you'll get the deal done, and if they think you'll be easy to work with. And I think I've worked really, really hard to try and build myself that way for the last, 12 years. And again, that's something that's the most important to me. So I think, I hope so. I think so.
I can say for sure it does. Absolutely. A, I know you and I see the types of deals that you do. And B, I know that people want confidence in an offer. And when there's a reputable person behind the offer, they have more confidence that it's going to go through. So that weighs very heavily. We have another question here from Chris on YouTube. As an agent, I represented many developers in the past. Do you have any advice for an agent to be a co-investor? If so, how? Or should an agent stay away from mixing the two? I guess becoming a partner on the deal.
I think it's okay. Many agents, a lot of them do become investors. I think you just have to be very, very careful. I know a lot of top producing agents that do a lot of their own developments, and I think it's okay. You do have to do it right. You have to be very, very careful. So
Okay.
so your clients don't feel like you're competing with them.
That's a very good point, because sometimes we get excited and we want a piece of the action, but what we don't realize is that it opens their eyes.
Your clients have to come first.
Yeah.
Again, don't ever let that one deal ruin your name. And that goes with anything, that scenario included.
That's actually a very, very good answer to a common questions that I get too, which is, why don't you get into these deals? Because I obviously broker them, but it's like as soon as I get into a deal, people are thinking that they're getting my leftovers, and I don't want anyone ever thinking that.
I agree.
All right, we have another question here. Katerina, she is asking, how do you handle sellers who are not realistic with the price? Do you have a strategy to educate them? Or when you see that they are when you see that they are not open-minded, do you just move on?
That's a good question. So I think it takes a while for an agent to be able to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't take your listing because I don't think you're being realistic, and it's not going to sell because it's overpriced. And don't be afraid to say that, because I think a lot of sellers, most sellers really do appreciate the honesty. I just told somebody that 2 days ago. For me, I'm a very busy agent. I have a lot of listings. I have a lot of things going on. I have 3 kids at home on Zoom. So if I don't think a house is going to sell, then I'm not going to take the listing. So how do you educate them? You show them comps. You have to show them everything that's going on in the area. When you know your market, I'm sure you can explain it in a way that they would understand. So make sure that when you're going in there for the listing, you've really studied that market. You've really studied the comparables, everything that has sold, everything that's active, everything that hasn't sold, that was taken off the market. And I think that if you show them that you really know what you're talking about, I think they'll listen to you. If you come in not prepared, then they'll think you don't know what you're talking about.
And I mean, what's the alternative, right? Let's play that out. Let's say if you really are confident and you know what you're talking about, and you know that there is no chance that it's going to sell because it's really unrealistic, but you're too desperate and you take the deal just because you don't want to lose it, it's not going to sell. You're going to be to blame, and you end up looking bad in your immediate community and in their local community, which is what you strive for anyways, right? Every time you do a deal, you want to get their immediate friends and family. If you don't take the deal and you walk away and you educate them on why, then yes, you still lost the deal, but that other agent that comes in won't sell, and you end up looking like the experienced one. And hopefully you could at least get the referrals, or they even come back to you to relist it at a more realistic price.
I can tell you that I can't even count how many times I have turned down a listing because I thought that the seller was unreasonable with the price. And they called me 6 months or a year later, and I ended up with that listing that I turned down initially. And
Yeah,
sometimes they've gone through several agents. I could be the 4th or 5th agent.
Well,
So it
because
happens
it's an ego thing. You have to swallow your ego to come back to somebody that you walked away from. But I think that it's also because of how you do it, right? You're probably super gracious when you turn them down.
Oh,
You keep
100%.
that door open. If you just walk away from the deal, then you lose it. But I'm sure you keep that door open. You probably tell them, I'm still here to give you advice. Maybe you should pick a different agent, but I'm here for you, whatever you need. That's what really wins them.
100%. And with me, it's a little bit more difficult because a lot of my clients are also my friends, which makes it so much harder, and the pressure is so much greater. And I think that's kind of makes me a little bit different than a lot of other agents, where if that house doesn't sell, they never have to talk to that person again. But I work with so many people in our community, and sometimes I have friends that call me to sell their houses, and I have to tell you very honestly, it makes me very nervous because I don't want to lose a friendship over selling someone's house. And that keeps me up at night. So if I'm going to put my sign up in front of that house, I better believe that I can sell it and make that person happy. So, I'm not thinking about the commission. I'm thinking about how am I going to sell this house and make this person happy, because everyone's going to know if I don't sell that house. So that happens. I mean, I go through that every day.
And by the way, that goes, this goes to everybody. Whoever doesn't feel 100% comfortable taking a listing, please bring it to me.
Good to know, Chuck.
Of course. All right. Any other final thoughts, Adi? Anything else that you'd like to share with our little community? Any tips or anything at all?
I would just say, if you're a newer agent or if you're trying to make it in real estate, which I know there's so many new agents that, people that call me every day, I just got into the business, what should I do? Just if first of all, you have to love what you're doing. And if you love what you do, you'll be good at it. Just keep going. Don't give up. go out there. And again, don't, you know, as they say, don't be a secret agent. Tell people what you do, talk to people, build your circle. It's a little bit harder now again with COVID, but when things kind of go back to a little bit of whatever normal is going to be look like in the next few months, try to really get out there and talk to as many people as you can. I think that's the key. That's how I kind of built myself.
I have a technology related question. Like, what is your favorite like app, website, certain things that you like to go on to? You know, for some people, it's like I have to go on to ZMAS every day and check this and queue conditions and blah blah blah. For you, I don't know. It might be
For Chuck, it's TikTok, you know, things like that.
TikTok. That's right.
You know, I'm on social media, but for me, honestly, it's going to be a boring answer. It's the MLS. I like
Do
to
they
see
have
what
an
else
app
is
nowadays? Does MLS even have an app?
There is an app, yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
like to do it the old-fashioned way. As Lior could testify, I'm not good with technology. I had some issues right before I logged in here, so
But you made it on
I
time.
made it. I don't rely on technology, I have to tell you guys. I never did.
You don't
But
rely.
when you get to a certain point, you have enough people around you that you can rely on them to rely on technology. So.
Thank God that I don't have to do it myself, because otherwise it'd be, yeah, not
Very
good.
nice. Well, I want to take this opportunity, Adi. It took us a while to get you on, but I know it's because you're super, super busy, and it doesn't go unnoticed that you take the time out of your day to share with us, to join us. So thank you very much from the bottom of my
Thank you
heart.
so much.
You know, we go way back, so I'm sure we'll probably get you on here at least another once or twice. But I want to just share with everybody that we will be on again next week, and we are going to do a little bit of a twist. Chuck and I are discussing another valuable way that we can have you know, communication happen throughout the group with analyzing deals, and maybe deals coming to this forum, and bringing other investors and developers to kind of talk about how they analyze deals. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Same place, same time next Thursday at 2 o'clock, either on Facebook, YouTube, or here on Zoom. Adi, again, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody,
guys.
for joining.
Great to be
We'll
here.
see
Thank
you
you.
again next time.
Thank you, Adi.
Bye, everybody. Thank
Keep
you.
doing your thing. And next time you're on TV, like Bravo, $1 Million Listing, whatever, please give us a shout out, all of us.
I will. You got it.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.